Hey everyone, Dockwell here, and welcome to another one of my Dota 2 hero guides. Today we're going to be taking a look at Tinker. Tinker is one of the most unique heroes in the game. He can carry pretty much any game if you are good enough at him, but to get good at him, it's extremely complicated, extremely hard, because he is a very tough and complicated mechanical hero in terms of the mechanical skills. Just learning how to get your fingers to do the necessary work to be good at Tinker is pretty hard, and it takes a lot of time. And there's a lot of things that you're going to have to learn to play Tinker that don't really apply to any other hero, because for Tinker, the way he plays the game is different than pretty much any other hero except for the laning stage. And Tinker is mainly a mid hero, so he goes mid, he plays mid similar to a lot of other heroes, but after the laning stage, he just plays extremely differently. So the reason for that is his ultimate, which is Rearm. And I know I usually go into the abilities right after a brief explanation, but Tinker is so unique that I just have to touch on Rearm here. What it does, if you don't know, is it refreshes his abilities and his items at any time. Pretty much if he has the mana and you're level 6, you have Rearm skilled, you can refresh all of your cooldowns. So that, as you obviously can probably tell, makes him extremely unique, makes him very different, and the way you play him because of that is very, very unique and very different from any other hero. So basically what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to show you what his skills do really quick here, and then I'm going to try to explain to you the very basics of what to do mechanically. How do I get my brain, my fingers, to do all of the necessary things to play Tinker without having to think too much and, make it so complicated? What are the basics that I need to do to just start learning Tinker and not feed, get his basic skills off, do the necessary things to play the hero without, just getting overwhelmed with all the complication and all the weird stuff. Sometimes, obviously, you can watch a replay, but watching a replay isn't always the best way to figure out what are they actually doing. What keys are they pressing? How is he actually executing all of those things? Like, oh wow, it's great. I like that, Tinker's so cool. He can do all these great things, but how do I actually get from where I am, not knowing anything, to executing that? And so that's what I'm going to try to help you with today. So now we're going to jump in here quick and go over his abilities really briefly. Now, I obviously told you what Rearm does. You get that at level 6 like every other ultimate, and you just press it. It does a little, it takes a little channeling time, and then he refreshes all of his abilities. So watch this here. I use that. I press Rearm, and there it goes. The cooldown kind of doesn't even matter. Really, the cooldowns only matter when you're laning until you get level 6. Now, obviously, I showed you what the Q does. It's just laser. You click it onto a hero, and it does pure damage. So, it's not magical, it's pure, which means it does a good amount of damage. And the other thing it does is it applies 100% mischance to them for a brief amount of time. So that means it blinds them is what it's called, but it basically means they can't attack. So if I just walk up here to Axe, I do this. He's attacking me, but he's missing every single hit. And that makes the Q extremely good against right-click carries. They kind of need to BKB it or do something else, but then obviously you can just refresh it and then hit him again. So that's one of the things that does a lot of damage for Tinker, and it's a very effective spell. Now, second, we're going to talk about Heat-Seeking Missile. So Heat-Seeking Missile, you just click it, and any hero, 2 heroes within the range, so it's a pretty big range, will get hit with Heat-Seeking Missiles. Let's just refresh. We can see we just press it here, and the 2 closest heroes, which are these 2, get hit by Heat-Seeking Missile. Now, we'll just quickly give you another enemy, and we'll show you. I don't believe I have the talent that gives more missiles. We'll just refresh. See, because this axe was further away, he didn't get hit by the missile. So we can just refresh that, do this, refresh it again, do that. Just keep clicking it every time we refresh, and as you can see, it's pretty obvious how Tinker can do a lot of damage. Now, his last skill we'll talk about, his last ability, is March of the Machines. Now, this one is very important and is a little bit overlooked, but it's honestly his best ability for multiple reasons. It's his ability that allows him to farm, and it's his ability that kind of allows him to deny an area from the enemy to walk into. It's very hard for them, especially early on, to walk into any area that has March of the Machines going. So what this does, as you can see when I use it, it just brings in this kind of square area here a bunch of little machines that come out, and they just do damage when they touch enemy heroes. And so you can just do that. You can refresh it. You can use it again, refresh it again, use it a third time, and it will just, do a lot of damage. It kind of denies this whole area for a brief period of time from enemies. As you see, this level 1 axe is going to die just from that. And obviously, meanwhile, in a real game, I could just be using rockets and lasering him and those kinds of things as well. So that's all of his abilities. It's pretty simple. Damage, damage, more damage in an AoE on the area, and then refresh your abilities.
Indeed.
Now that we know what Tinker's abilities do, we're going to take a look at his items, just to give you a general overview of what his items do, how to use them, and how to really get good mechanically with Tinker. So first off, we're just going to go over quickly, what he does in the laning stage. Like most other mid heroes, you go mid, you try to get your farm. His laser blinds the enemy team, so that's good for securing last hits, denying him, or, you laser him and then you deny the creep if it gets low, that kind of thing. But really you want to focus on getting farm and not dying, because what you'll do is you'll maybe complete a null talisman, usually go bottle first even before that, but then the next 2 items are the most important, and that is Soul Ring and Boots of Travel. You'll always get those, you'll always get a bottle as well, but really what you're wanting to do is you want to get to your Boots of Travel timing as quickly as possible. Sometimes that means rushing boots before getting Soul Ring, but usually that means getting Soul Ring first. And that's because Soul Ring maximizes your ability to use March of the Machines. As you see here, I can use March of the Machines 3 times really quickly, clear a wave, and then go jungle or do something else. And that's kind of how you want to play Tinker. You just want to push the lane out when you can, then go to the jungle, farm a couple creeps there with March of the Machines. So usually you'll put 1 point into Heat-Seeking Missile, maybe 1 or 2 into Laser, and then max out March of the Machines before you get your ultimate so that you can farm extremely quickly. Because once you get Boots of Travel, the entire game changes, and the hero changes how he's played. So we're going to go and TP back to base, and because Rearm works with Boots of Travel, now you can pretty much travel around the map anytime you want and anywhere you want. And once you get Boots of Travel, hopefully your towers haven't fallen around the map, and you can defend mid, you can defend top, you can defend bot, you can do whatever you want and go pretty much wherever you want. So what you'll do is you'll just TP into a free lane or a place you want to defend, and you'll use your spells. Pretty much that simple. But the key is how do you use your spells? How do you maximize your spells? Now, obviously, you use rockets, it hits them. You use laser on a guy, you refresh, and then you use March of the Machines in an area to kill creeps or deny people from walking there. But really, what I want to show you is how to use Soul Ring effectively, as well as Bottle. So we'll TP back real quick. We'll just kind of give this a realistic feel. We'll refresh. So first, I'm going to TP in. I'm not going to use effective spell casting. I'm going to TP in. I'm going to use this. Refresh. Use another March of the Machines. Refresh. Use a 3rd March of the Machines. Refresh. Use a 4th March of the Machines. Refresh. Now, I'm level 30. And that took, most of my mana. 75% of my mana. Let's go back in. Refresh. Let's do this again, with Soul Ring this time, and Bottle. I believe that was actually 4, and I did another refresh. But you see, I had half mana, if not a little bit more. And that is the difference with using Soul Ring. And as you may have heard if you were hearing me click, because I wasn't talking, or saw, I was kind of doing that extremely quickly. And what you want to do is you want to program into your brain this exact sequence. TP in. Now, wherever you are, whatever you want to do, you want to March of the Machines, Bottle, Soul Ring, Rearm. And that's what you want to do every time. I use Bottle and I use Soul Ring before I rearm, no matter what. My brain just pretty much automatically does that sequence. And then once I taught myself to do that sequence over and over and over again, that I could just automatically do it, then I can start to think about other things and start to branch off from there to not always do the sequence that way, depending on the situation. But I would recommend in the very beginning, you just Bottle, Soul Ring, Rearm. So you cast, Bottle, Soul Ring, Rearm. cast, Bottle Soul Ring Rearm. Cast, Bottle Soul Ring Rearm. And that way, that's pretty much how you can, you know, farm really quickly with March of the Machines. Or let's say you're up on top of your, you know, you're back in your base, the enemy is sieging high ground, you do this. Actually, it will show us better if we have guys that'll, the rockets will actually shoot. Rocket, this, rearm. Rocket, March of the Machines, rearm. Rocket, March of the Machines, Bottle Soul Ring, rearm. And you just do that extremely quickly, and once you get that rhythm, that kind of muscle memory in your brain, and you just do it so many times, you'll never have to think about it again.
Proceed.
And then, like I said, you'll eventually get to the point where you don't even really have to think about it. You just do it, and then you can adjust to not doing it when it's appropriate to not do it. So that's how you use those items, and that's how I would suggest doing it. Now, I use Soul Ring on 5 because it's extremely close to R. And I also, this one, which is kind of my free slot, is also T because it's extremely close to R. So it helps me just use my pointer finger for everything, really. And then I have mouse for my bottle. So I'll just kind of be there, cast, mouse 5R, really quickly. Now, the other thing that you want to keep in mind when playing Tinker is that the next item you'll go is always Blink. And that's because Blink makes him extremely survivable. So what'll happen usually is you'll, you know, TP into a lane, and then I'm here. Now I'm pretty vulnerable. Like, the tower's hitting me, maybe guys are hitting me, you know, whatever's happening. It's pretty dangerous to TP in front of a tower, or, you know, even in a side lane where you don't see anybody. And so that's where Blink comes into play. You TP in, you pre-cast Blink, and there you go. You will just instantly Blink. Wherever you're TPing there, you want to Blink over here, so you pre-cast it, and then Tinker will automatically Blink there before you're even done, or as soon as you're done TPing. And that is pretty much what you want to get into a habit of doing, because you'll TP into a side lane, pre-Blink into the trees, there you go. It's really hard for them to catch you. You know, your cast to March the Machines, Blink even further away, TP out. Now you just cleared the whole wave, and you weren't vulnerable for more than, you know, a split second, or maybe they were waiting for you in the trees, but you just got out because you know, did a quick rearm and then blinked away. And that's how you want to use Blink. And then eventually, once you get all of that mechanical skill down, you've ingrained the muscle memory, you really know what you're doing, and you're not messing that sequence up a lot, then you can start to incorporate other things. So usually, in the very beginning, just go those items, buy Ags, because Ags allows you to do more damage. You know, the laser will bounce, if you didn't know that. It'll do more damage to the primary target. It'll make both of them miss. And also, you know, buy Aether Lens, because it's passive. It doesn't do anything other than help you, you know, cast your spells at a further, more safe distance. And then, once you get used to everything, once you get used to doing those sequences, you can start incorporating other items. So that would be Scythe of Ice. Before that, you can obviously, like I said too, you can buy Aeon Disc, you can buy Boots of Travel 2, you can buy whatever you need to buy to make your hero better, even this upgraded Blink, without giving your hero, without giving Tinker extra buttons to push if you can't deal with the ones you already have. Then, once you feel like, you know, I've got this, I can start thinking about positioning, I can start thinking about the other things in the game, I have the mechanics down. Now you can introduce something like Scythe of Ice. So that, let's say we'll go back here. We'll TP in, and you'll eventually get to be able to do this. Blink in, hex that, refresh. Heck, oh shit, it didn't work because it makes me take control of Axe for a second. But eventually you'll get that good that, you know, everything else will be second nature. And then all you have to think about is, okay, click T on the guy, and that's it. That's all I have to do. You know, just click T. And it's really hard for me to do it when I'm talking. Like, I cannot talk and concentrate on doing this at the same time. Because I'm obviously not the best Tinker player or anything like that. But I just have played him enough to know generally how it works for me and how to do him, or how to play him fairly well at a decently high level, 4K-ish level or above. So I'm an okay Tinker. I'm not amazing or anything, but I just think this is a good way to learn how to play him. Then eventually, like I said, you'll incorporate a a Ghost Scepter in there. So, you know, you blink in, the carry starts attacking you. You know, you blind him, but then the carry BKBs, and now he's still attacking you. Well, I can Ghost Scepter, refresh, blink out. There you go. It helps save yourself, makes you more survivable, that kind of thing. The same thing with BKB. You can use BKB in the same exact way. You know, there's spells you want to be immune, you rearm, you blink out extremely quickly. And so that's another skill that you need to learn eventually too, is with positioning, you know, you get gone on, rearm really quickly, and then blink. So that's another thing to understand with blink, is that because you're rearming blink, you don't need to wait for that cooldown. So even though someone's attacking you, if you're not stunned and you can rearm really quickly and pre-cast the blink or like spam the blink, that's what you want to do, because you'll just be able to get out of sticky situations sometimes, and that can really save your skin with Tinker when you start just spamming the blink. And so that, I think, is the basics of all the items and how to get better with them. And then eventually, obviously, like I said, you'll Ethereal Blade, Dagon, all those kinds of things. You'll incorporate all them as time goes on. I haven't even incorporated them all, honestly. I rarely ever buy Shivas, but I know it's good. I'm not that good with Tinker yet. I rarely buy Dagon, honestly. I still buy Ags a lot. I'm not the best Tinker, so I still have a limited amount of items I can buy because I haven't incorporated them all into my set yet. But that's pretty much how to learn the mechanics of Tinker and how to get better at Tinker slowly over time by playing him. Now that I explained all of the items, how to get better at Tinker mechanically, we're going to take a look at a game here. And we're not going to take a look at a professional game or any kind of pro pub or anything like that, because it's great to watch people be really good at Tinker, but that doesn't always help you understand what to do or why they're good at him, and, you know, what you would do in that situation kind of thing. You know, what rules are they following? What are they thinking about when they're playing Tinker? And so that's what I'm going to show you now. We just kind of are in a game, a normal game here. There's no one else, no enemies, no allies, but I'm just going to show you the general way to play Tinker in fights, and also after the laning stage, how to farm, and the general concept or idea of what you want to be doing on Tinker. So first we're going to show you some things. I'm just going to teleport my hero over here by cheating. And even though I'm Radiant, this is a good place to farm on Dire, and I chose this location because it's one of the best ones in the game right now. Now, the map will change. Before this most recent patch, there were better places like this. But to farm, especially the jungle, it's best to pick places where you can farm 2 camps at once with your March of the Machines. So as you see here, this is a great spot to just spam a few March of the Machines, and you'll farm both of these camps really quickly. Now, being on Radiant, we can also do this here. You can blink down here. Do March of the Machines at these 2 camps. I can also do March of the Machines right around here and farm these 2 camps as well. So there are some places it's a lot harder. There's not really enough room there or between these camps. You can kind of get these 2 or these 2. It's a little bit more difficult to do that, though. But that's generally how you want to farm jungle. Now, you can just spam over one single camp. That works as well. If there's nowhere else to go, that's fine. And in general, like I kind of said before, you want to TP in here, clear the wave, then go jungle. So, obviously, in the very beginning of the game, you won't have blink or rearm that goes this fast, but, you know, you'll do it a couple times. You'll come over here. You'll clear this camp, you know, with a couple of March of the Machines, and that's generally how you want to farm the jungle. Now, we'll TP back here. We'll get a fresh start. And I'll teach you, once the laning stage is done, once jungle is not something you want to pay attention to, you know, 15, even 12, 10 plus minutes in the game, when you want to start defending towers or pushing out towers, once the first towers fall. So, the creeps will spawn here. I'm going to rearm. I'm going to TP here. Now, as you see, let's just wait for a second to have these creeps die generally at the same time. I'm going to try to deny all of my creeps. But I want them all to die at around the same time. That one's not. He's going to keep going. Because the main thing that I want to show you here is where the creeps meet. They meet right here. With nothing else blocking them, they will meet right here. And so you know, generally speaking, at about 30 seconds, because it takes them about 30 seconds to get here, that's just the general way that the game works, is that they're about, you know, the creeps spawn every 30 seconds, and it takes them about 30 seconds to get to the spot where they meet naturally, which is right here. As we see, you know, these creeps spawned 30 seconds ago. It's right about the time that another creep wave spawns. And why that is important is because knowing where the creeps are at about what times in the side lanes is extremely important. It's one of the most important things when playing Tinker. And that's because you can generally tell by the time up here where the creeps are. So right now, you know, I'll clear these because I know I'll spam these even though there's not many there because I know the creeps are coming. Okay, and similarly, it's 33, 34, 35. I generally know, because I know the creeps spawned at that time, that I can cast right about here, and the creeps will be there in time for my march. And now it's early on in the game, so the creeps are ignoring me. Usually they'll aggro me. But that is something that you need to learn on Tinker. And you'll learn over time. As you do it, you'll basically be able to just kind of judge, just generally, you know, here is the minute or 30-second mark. Here is about 10 seconds later. Here is about 10 seconds later. And then here's 10 seconds later, you know. That's generally what it is. And you'll kind of be able to learn that in each lane, how fast the creeps are and where they are. And why that's important is because a lot of times you'll be TPing in and you'll be instantly blinking over here and then casting. So let's say I'm over here, you know, I'm casting my marching machines to clear this wave. Well, I don't want to walk down this wave. Let's just say this tower isn't here anymore. I don't want to walk down the wave, you know, while it's being cleared. While it's being cleared by my marching machines, I want to go back here. And I want to then cast another march of the machines over here to kill the next wave without the enemy even seeing where I am. And then by the time my march comes through, I'm already going to be out. You know, I'll blink away again and TP out. So that I just cleared 2 waves before the enemy could really even respond to me. And that's why you want to know exactly where the creeps are at the different minute marks. And like I said, you'll learn that over time. You don't need to memorize what I just told you now, but just know every 30 seconds they spawn, you can kind of track where they're going to be in that time. And so the key is that you want to be casting your march to clear them at those intervals. Now the other thing, and I kind of showed you it before, is wherever you blink or wherever you TP in, you want to pre-cast a blink to a spot where you're going to be in the trees. So right now, you know, I didn't precast it, but you'll want to precast over here or somewhere where you're in the trees. Generally, you want to cast in this area. Now, there is a ward here, so you'll need to, or there could be a ward here. It's a spot for a ward, so you'll need to be careful sometimes when you get into this region. But also, you generally don't want to TP over and blink over here. Now, if this tower is still alive and you have blink, it might be actually better to blink there than here because there might be guys waiting there for you. But you generally won't have your blink until this tower's down. I mean, unless it's a low skill game or, you know, something weird is happening or you're losing or whatever. But you generally don't want to blink over here where people can just be waiting for you to kill you. Similarly with here, you don't want to blink from, you know, TP down here and blink over here because maybe there's a guy there. You generally want to blink onto the side of the map, and that's where you want it to blink in general. And there's some key spots that you want to be. Here's one. Down here is one. I'll show you another one. There's a key spot basically right up here. Here is a good spot because you want to get these specific spots in the trees, and the trees will change with every patch. But you want to get these spots in the trees where you can basically cast March, and you'll be hidden, but it'll still hit the creeps. You know, because there's a limit to how far your March will go. And so you want to get these weird spots, these little areas where, you know, they can't see you, but you can still cast March of the Machines, it'll still clear the wave. And so that's kind of playing the edge of the trees here. Now that's why mid is generally not a great place to TP to farm, because, you know, if I TP here, there's not really any... I mean, I can go here, that's great, but if I'm on their side of the map, do I really want to TP over here, or blink over here, I mean? Do I want to blink into these... Not really. That's not the best spot to blink. You know, they could have a ward there. They can have a ward here. On this side, they can have... I mean, there's not as many good wards on this side, but they could have a ward here, a ward here. There's not really too many great places to blink mid. So farming mid is not usually something you want to do unless it's defensively. So unless, you know, you're back here, you're defending a tower, then you'll usually have places on your side of the map that you can cast March of the Machines from a safe distance and then blink away. And that is pretty much the general idea of how to farm on Tinker, basically after the jungling laning stage era, is knowing where to blink in the trees, where the creeps are coming, and so on and so forth. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is where do you want to go and what do you want to pay attention to when team fights are happening. Now, let's just say a team fight's happening here. Do you want to blink in like this? Obviously not. I mean, it's pretty straightforward. You want to stay at a very specific distance where your heat-seeking missile will kill, you know, or hit people, where you can cast your laser, but you're also not vulnerable to being jumped on. And one of the keys to doing this is patience. You need to have patience on Tinker, and you need to have map awareness. Sometimes, before I TP in, or while I'm TPing in, or before I even decide what I'm going to do in the fight, I won't even be looking at the screen. I mean, I'll be, maybe, let's do this. I'll hover in, I'll go to base. I'll be sitting in base, full health, full mana, everything restored, and I'll be watching the screen. You know, I'll be watching the fight, seeing where the creeps are, that kind of thing. Or maybe the fight's over here, my creeps are back there, I kind of generally know that. What I'm actually doing, usually, is looking at the minimap. Maybe we have vision, but I'm looking for that void spirit, that ember spirit, that any spirit here, really. I'm looking for that faceless void. I'm looking for whoever has a blink dagger. I'm looking for those people that I know are going to want to hunt me, and I stay away from them. I say, okay, the fight's happening. The guy that's trying to kill me, he's not showing. I don't know where he is. So I'm not going to make myself vulnerable, because the key is a lot of times the team that you're playing isn't, I mean, unless you're really at a low rank, the team you're playing isn't going to be stupid. They know Tinker's annoying. They want to kill Tinker. They will hunt you down. And so what you need to do is you need to strategically avoid the heroes that can hunt you. The heroes like Clockwork, or the heroes like, you know, any speared hero. Any hero that can jump on you, get at you from a distance, you want to generally know where they are, or don't show yourself. Even rocketing or marching of the machines in an area will tell them where you are, and then they can just run at you. And a lot of times, good players, or players that, you know, are really mad at the Tinker player, will just not even fight. They won't do anything. They will sit back the entire team fight and wait for you to show yourself so they can jump on you. That will happen a lot. And if you're playing against, let's say, a Faceless Void, it is actually beneficial for you to not show, not even cast spells sometimes. If the Faceless Void is not showing and he's their carry, sometimes it's best to not even give him the opportunity to jump on you, because it's worth it that he's not in the fight and you're kind of staying out of the fight, playing safe, but he's not showing because he doesn't want to, you know, he wants to try to jump on and kill you. And a lot of times, especially at higher levels, the team will spend a lot of resources to kill you, and that'll mean that they lose the fight. But, you know, in lower ranks, you want to really play safe, because your team's not going to back you up in that same way. So you want to make sure that you're looking at the minimap as much as possible, constantly, knowing where heroes are. When you're TPing to a side lane, know that, okay, X hero that chases me, I saw him bottom, or I haven't seen him for a while. Maybe he knows I'm going to be TPing to the side lane. Maybe he's waiting for me in the trees. Maybe they have this ward up here and they're waiting for me. Those kinds of things. These are all things you need to be thinking about. And that's why I said that earlier when I was going over the items. You need to get this general rhythm down in your brain, so you're not thinking, oh, okay, I got to press mouse and then refresh and then do this and then do... Because then you're not going to be thinking about the minimap. You're not going to be thinking about, you know, where the heroes are at, or if they're in the trees trying to kill you, that kind of thing. you're just going to be thinking about how to cast your spells, and it's not going to be good for you because then you're just going to feed and die a lot. Now, that'll take time, obviously, like I said. Once you get that muscle memory inside your body, basically you just have played a ton and you know what to do, and your muscles just kind of do it, your fingers just do it. That'll help, and that just comes with time with playing. But I think what I've taught you here will help you get better at Tinker. It will help you get the basics of Tinker down, and hopefully you'll be able to play Tinker if you've always wanted to and never really knew how to start playing Tinker. So this is pretty much the end. I'm not going to show you any pro games. You can look up plenty of pro Tinkers that are really, really good at the hero, way better than I am. And, you know, if that doesn't make you want to play Tinker, I don't know what does. I mean, a lot of people hate the hero, I know, but it is so fun when you get good at it. So if you liked this video, if you thought it was helpful, if there's some question that you have about, you know, what you didn't talk about this, what do I do in this position, you know, how do I learn this, let me know in the comments. I'd be happy to help. But I hope that was the basics and that helped you figure out how to start playing Tinker and how to start getting good with it. Thanks, and I'll see you in the next video.